All right, this is the third installment of our 2018 Alaska Cuisine food tour. Still up here in the interior of Alaska in Fairbanks, in my hometown, where I grew up, visiting with my parents. And tonight we are going to be cooking 4 different kinds of Alaskan wild game. And so I hope you enjoy it. Hope you'll stay tuned. And in a second here, I have my dad explain what we're going to be doing tonight and what his theory is behind wild game cooking. Let's get started.
I was just explaining to Jonathan that whenever I'm cooking wild game of any kind, especially what we're having tonight, which is bison, moose, and Dall sheep, but this would apply to caribou, venison of any kind, of course. I like to serve it hot. Anyone that cooks and serves wild game knows that as it cools down, there are certain things that happen to it. It develops sometimes a talky type taste and even a different texture that I don't care for, and I don't think others do as well. Now, I can eat a cold venison or a cold moose sandwich or a cold black bear roast sandwich any day, but I prefer it served hot. And if you're having guests over, you certainly want to do that as well. My plan is to, first of all, as an appetizer, serve what we call poor man's lobster. Anytime we boil a white meat fish like northern pike or halibut and provide a dipping sauce, usually a buttery, lemony dipping sauce for it, we just call it poor man's lobster. So we're going to start off with that tonight and then move from there to bison or buffalo liver. And we're going to cook that in with onions and season it perfectly. It'll be small bites, so it'll cook quickly, and then we'll serve that to our guests. As soon as that's over with, I'm going to flour and season some Dall sheep steak. These are very small pieces, really, because I went on a Dall sheep hunt last year in the Alaska range, and my friend was able to traverse through valleys and up and down mountains and successfully harvest a sheep. I did not make it nearly as far as he did, so therefore I didn't feel like I deserved any of the meat, and I tried to refuse it. But he was very gracious, very kind, and gave me some of the sheep meat, but I insisted on shoulder meat because he really worked for this Dall ram. And it turned out to be the oldest ram killed in that unit last year. So it was a real trophy for him, but he put forth a lot of effort. And but I just said, well, if you've got to give me some of it, I'll take the shoulder right there. Part of it was bloodshot, so that was wasted, but I was able to salvage some little steaks off of one of the shoulder pieces, one of the shoulder muscles. And we'll be seasoning those and frying them up tonight in a little bit of bacon grease just to flavor it real good. Not that Dall sheep needs any help with flavor. It's the best meat in Alaska and possibly in the world, in my opinion. And then Jonathan's going to grill up some moose steaks for us, and that'll top off our meal tonight, of course, with some side dishes and dessert. So I hope you enjoy it, and here we go.
All right, so what do we got? What do we got going on first?
Right here, bud, we've got some northern pike caught down in Minto Flats,
Okay.
which is about 30 miles northwest of here.
Yeah.
It's about a 20 or 25-minute hop in a float plane or a 2-hour boat trip on a winding river, the Chattanooga River. So we're going to, I've got the water prepped with butter and salt.
That's all it is.
A secret seasoning in there I'd rather not mention. Okay, it's water. But we're going to boil up these pieces of northern pike for an appetizer. We call it poor man's lobster, just like everybody else does.
Cool. All right. All right, so what do we got going on second here?
All right, I've got these pieces of bison liver ready to go in the frying pan.
All right.
And in the frying pan, I have a half a stick of butter.
Nice
and
cast
then
iron.
In the flour seasoning here is white pepper, black pepper, garlic powder, and Mediterranean sea salt. Not just any Mediterranean sea salt. This is fine Mediterranean sea salt. And you have your low quality, and then you have your really fine stuff.
Oh yeah. Fine.
All right, and then sliced onions, and then the gravy is already pre-mixed, and the secret ingredient here is a little bit of beef stew powder mix.
Okay.
That also came in a packet similar to this, but I've already thrown the packet away.
Yep.
So just imagine this to say beef stew and brown gravy. I mixed two of those together in here.
Awesome.
That's the secret for the gravy. And I'm making, if you're wondering why I'm going to make so much gravy for just about 12 ounces of bison liver. The bison liver is more like an appetizer, just like the poor man's lobster. But I'm making a lot of gravy because we are cooking rice also, sticky rice, and we're going to put the gravy on that as a side dish.
I like that.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Gotcha. All right, we got some dill weed going in with a big old, what is that, a whole stick of butter? 2 sticks?
Yep, stick of butter, dill weed.
Big sprinkle of dill weed.
Johnny's seafood seasoning with lemon dill in it.
Okay.
We're going to put a little bit of that in there as well. This is going to be a dipping sauce for the northern pike once we get our poor man's lobster on everybody's plate. And then just a few pieces, few grains of celery seed is what this is. It just provides a little bit of a distinct flavor for the fish that people don't know what it is, and they want to know.
We didn't use Mrs. Dash. Seafood seasoning, dill weed, and celery seed.
Once again, our secret ingredient, boiling water.
About to boil that pike.
Right at the last, I put in a dash of lemon juice into my Ver Blanc and poured it into the individual vessels to put at each place setting.
That's going to be good.
As a dipping sauce for the northern pike. All right, one of the reasons that the northern pike is in all these different shapes and size pieces here is because it's had the Y bones filleted out of it. So this is totally boneless, white northern pike meat. This pike was caught in Minto Flats, very famous swampy area. It's kind of like the Everglades of the North Star Borough, if you will.
All right, that first batch came off. And we already ate half of it. Next batch is already in, but this is just our appetizer. So going in with that butter. See if I can turn it around here. That's why they call it poor man's lobster, huh?
That's why they call it amateur video.
That's pretty good. Hey, people on my channel are used to seeing the camera spin around. Okay. We got no fancy tricks on Texas 2.5.
That's right.
No, we're just here to eat good.
That's all that matters. We're not professionals at anything but cooking.
That's right. And don't forget that the secret water that we used. All right, first batch of the bison / buffalo, whatever, liver going down.
And I did not crowd the frying pan, you'll notice that.
Yep, we're just doing straight butter.
Yeah, right now, just butter.
Okay.
Once it cooks, once I brown it on each side,
yeah,
then I'm going to pour in the gravy mix.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
The brown gravy and the beef stew mix combined.
Yep.
And but actually before then I'll put in the onions.
And this was the mix that had the white pepper, the black pepper, the garlic powder, and the fine Mediterranean sea salt in it.
Yes.
In that flour.
Yep. So once I flip these, I'm going to dump in the chopped onions and then the gravy.
All right. Flip them, chopped onions, gravy. That's how it's going down, y'all.
Yep.
All right, here's with the gravy and the onions mixed in. See how dark and rich that is? Looks amazing. We got it going. About to enjoy it. All right, here's what the finished product looks like. Look at that dark, rich bison gravy. Let me cut into one of these and try it. All right, here we go. First bite. I think it's my first bite ever of buffalo liver. Man, I like that.
Yep.
That gravy is rich.
Yeah, liver can sometimes be strong, but this isn't even gamey, much less strong.
It barely, just barely has the flavor of beef liver. Beef
Yeah.
liver is way stronger than that. This is
Yeah.
just a really
This
mild
is,
liver flavor.
yep, very mild and rich
Really
gravy.
good texture too.
Yep.
It's
Got
not
the
hard to chew like some liver.
got the garlic flavor in it and everything.
Paisley's first ever bite of buffalo liver. Can you try it? Can you pull it off? Good job. How do you like that? Let me see this one. Is that yummy?
Kind of food there.
Did you like that? Yum, yum, yum. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Papa Bruce. All right, meat number 3. This is moose. Moose steaks. I'm going to be grilling these. These have been marinating in soy sauce and Worcestershire and some of Paul Newman's, I think my dad said his zesty Italian dressing for several hours now. And moose is not gamey at all, unlike deer. Moose is very mild. If you cook it right, it's just like beef, and you can't tell the difference. I'm just doing these on a poor man's modified charcoal grill. This used to be a Brinkman gas grill. I'm just doing them over some Kingsford Blue. Beautiful moose steaks. They'll go pretty quick, and because it's wild game, they'll dry out fast if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna do these real carefully, and I'm not gonna film it so that I can get them right. We'll be back in a minute, and we'll show you the 4th meat, the Dall Sheep, that my dad's frying up inside in cast iron in bacon grease. We'll be right back.
All right, I've got a little bit of butter in here, a little bit of bacon grease, and I'm starting to lay in the Dall Sheep steaks that are seasoned with just flour, salt, and pepper, Mediterranean fine salt, no less. So it should be very delicious here in just a little bit.
All right, here's the Dall Sheep.
Yep, it's sizzling in the bacon grease and the butter, and it's just about done. It's probably about medium rare right now, so we're getting ready to remove it from the heat.
Looking good. All right, here's my first piece of Dall Sheep. Let's get into it. Here we go, y'all.
Wow.
Dall Sheep. It's gonna be good.
In the spotting stroke on the legal ram. It ended up being the oldest ram shot in Unit 28
Oh,
last
baby.
year. 12 years
Nice
old.
crispy fried. It's like a country fried Dall Sheep steak.
It was illegal because it wasn't full curl. So it's got to be full curl or 8 rings.
That's the best meat in Alaska.
Each ring is a year. His
So good.
12 rings on it.
So
when
tender.
he blasted him out, he could tell there were 12 rings.
The incredible thing is, this is from the shoulder of the Dall Sheep.
I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be yet.
And man, even so, even being from the shoulder, it's delicious. All right, here's the moose. Here we go. All right, here goes the moose bite. That is also very good. That Newman's and soy sauce marinade is really good. A little bit of Worcestershire in there. But it's not as tender as the Dall Sheep, but it's still very good. Very delicious. And it's not backstrap or anything. If it was, it'd be a lot more tender. But even being just a normal poor man's cut of steak, it has a ton of flavor. Very good. Highly recommend it. You probably have a better chance of getting to try moose in your lifetime than you do Dall Sheep. I'm sorry to tell you. But if you ever get the opportunity, you should definitely go for it. A little bit medium rare. Don't have to be afraid of that. It's good stuff.
Cleaner than store-bought.
Cleaner than store-bought.
It doesn't taste like.
Get into it. All right, we had 2 full frying pans of Dall Sheep, and that was the best meat. All of it was very good, but we always look forward to the pinnacle. One last little Dall Sheep guy sitting in there with some onions.
Yep.
But overall, what are your thoughts on the meats tonight?
The northern pike was excellent, dipped in the buttery lemony dill sauce. And the Dall Sheep, of course, like you already said, was the ultimate. And the buffalo liver was the surprise of the night. It was so mild.
Yeah.
And just so well flavored.
I agree.
By the seasonings, the garlic, the butter.
Yep.
It was excellent. And so that was the surprise of the night.
Yep.
The moose steak on the grill is really tough to get tender.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So maybe If I were to do the moose steak again, I might actually marinate it in the fridge for 5 days.
Yeah.
I've heard of guys doing that with tough game meat.
Yep.
But whatever it takes to tenderize it before you throw it on the grill, that's what I would do, even if it's a sledgehammer and a four-wheel drive.
That's how they do it in Texas.
Oops.
All right, we're trying to make the perfect bite for our closing shot here. A little bit of Dall Sheep,
We're not trying.
a little bit of fried onion, and all of that done in bacon grease.
Yep.
So here's the perfect bite.
All right, here we go.
Nice crispy. Look at those crispy onions and crispy Dall Sheep. Let it blow on it. Mmm. Man, that looks amazing. That was good. All right, here is the actual bison skull from the bison liver that we ate. This was shot near Delta Junction, Alaska, I believe last winter. I think the season is like November or something like that, if I remember correctly, but I don't live up here anymore, so I don't know all the details. Could be wrong on that. That's the actual skull of the bison that we tried out. This moose rack is not the moose that we ate. We don't have that moose rack, but this is a good example of what average size Alaskan moose rack looks like. So there's that. Let's go check out what a Dall Sheep and a Northern Pike looks like. So here's a pretty nice pair of Northern Pike. These are pretty good size. I cannot remember, my dad caught these when I was a kid 20 years ago, and I can't remember what the stats on them was. But these were caught out of the place he was talking about in the recipe video, Minto Flats, back when I was a kid. Actually, that's a picture of me and my dad back when I was about 11 or 12 years old. So that'd be about a little over 20 years ago. So that's what Northern Pike look like, at least good sized ones. Those certainly aren't the biggest that we ever caught out of Minto Flats, but that's a pretty good representation of some of the larger ones that we caught when I was a kid. My dad has some really cool stuff in his sort of disorganized man cave. That's the Dall Sheep. That is not the Dall Sheep that we ate off of in the video that I made in this recipe video. But that's a real good example of a Dall Sheep. They look a lot like a bighorn from like the Rocky Mountains down in Colorado away, but they're a lot lighter. They almost look white as opposed to the grayish brown bighorn sheep. But they're very similar. Dall Sheep have the same big curl going on. A lot of other cool stuff out here. My dad's got a set of caribou antlers in the velvet. Actually, the one on top is a interior grizzly bear from the interior of Alaska. The one on the bottom is a coastal brown bear. Those are actually a little bit different bears. But a couple of really nice bear rugs. And then over here, the last thing I'll show you is a really cool set. A hunting buddy of my dad's found this set of moose antlers out in the wild, locked together. These two jumbos got locked in combat at some point years ago, and their antlers, got locked together, and they could not free themselves, and those two moose died that way, and were probably finished off by predators, and the bones were long gone by the time they found these antlers. That's a really cool relic from the Alaskan wilderness, a set of moose antlers still locked together, and these will one day hang in my home. They're already cabled up for hanging, and hopefully I'll find a spot big enough to hang that set someday if I ever get a chance to get back up here to Alaska. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that little wildlife tour and recipe video from up here in Fairbanks, Alaska. This will conclude our 2018 Alaska cuisine tour, but thanks for tuning in, and soon I'll be back in action in Minnesota, getting my smoke on with the new LSG, and also with the new Weber Smoky Mountain that I picked up. So look forward to those videos. Talk to you later.